Welcome back again, everyone. It's Dina Calmetta here. And for today's Bible prophecy update, we're just going to go through the headlines, and I'm going to bring you guys scripture as it pertains to the headlines. So if you're ready, let's get started. Let's start with the prophecy that we see in Matthew, Luke, and Mark, which is wars and rumors of wars. Nation rising up against nation and kingdom against kingdom. I've been reporting on this a little bit more than normal lately, due to all the activity that we have been seeing with Russia, Ukraine, and China. Here's a report from Fox News, and they are saying that the U.S. is target one for the Chinese Communist Party. This is according to a retired general, Jack Keane, and he says that we should be beefing up our defenses to stand up against the threat because we are high on their priority list. He said China is conducting the most comprehensive penetration of our society since we were formed 250 years ago. 240 years now, and we've never seen anything quite like this. He was weighing in on the news that a third Chinese national has attempted to smuggle in biological materials into the United States within the last couple of weeks. He's calling it a comprehensive threat, cyber espionage, and working to interfere with the food supply, telecommunications, pharmaceuticals, and transportation. He says the list goes on. And in the event of this conflict with China in the Pacific, they would attempt to defeat the American people at home and break their will to support the war. And here we have a biological pathogen smuggling into the country that could attack our agriculture and ultimately our food source. He believes that this is more exploration than anything else to detect and see how they can penetrate and how comprehensive this could be for the future. He said that the Chinese threat has escalated of late, with Chinese nationals attempting to smuggle a dangerous crop-killing fungus into the U.S. The two suspects were intercepted in Detroit, Michigan, and we have heard about that in other headlines. Now, the South China Morning Post is reporting that the head of NATO warned on Monday that China's growing military and its close alignment with Russia, Iran, and North Korea meant that NATO should further develop Indo-Pacific partnerships to meet the challenge that Beijing poses. He stated that we see at the moment in this enormous buildup in China of their military capabilities. He also noted that China already has the world's largest navy, and this battle force is expected to grow to 435 ships by 2030. He said that China is building up its nuclear arsenal, and it aims to have more than 1,000 operational nuclear warheads by 2030. He called China's alignment with Russia, North Korea, and Iran a really awful foursome, and cited Beijing's alleged support of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. He said that they are supporting, as we all know, Russia's war effort against Ukraine, and contended that Russia is using Chinese technology for this conflict. Of course, Beijing has repeatedly denied the accusations of providing military support to Russia. So what is Russia up to? Well, we know what he's doing in Ukraine. The Jerusalem Post is reporting that Russia is to construct 8 nuclear power plants in Iran. In April, Iranian's oil minister said that Russia would fund the construction of a new nuclear plant in Iran. The two countries will undertake the construction of the new nuclear energy facilities and the completion of phases 2 and 3 of the Bushehr power plant using Moscow's credit line. Now, of course, we know that Israel and Iran are sworn enemies. We ask the question, will Israel strike Iran's nuclear facilities? Could this push them over the edge and they will try to create nuclear weapons? Now, I personally think that they're very close to a nuclear weapon right now. If Russia is funding this and Israel strikes these nuclear plants, what is that going to do for the relationship between Russia and Israel? We already know what's going to happen with Iran and Israel. Well, this can lead us to a Psalm 83 war between Israel and other nations. And I actually did a whole Bible prophecy on the end time wars, and I'll go ahead and leave a link to that below this video. So if you want to check that out when you have some time, you can do so. But if Israel were to do that, this would definitely anger Russia, especially if they're putting their money into it. Could this be the catalyst, among other things, to lead Russia with Turkey and Iran and other nations to try and invade Israel? We see that in the book of Ezekiel, chapters 38 and 39. It's definitely a possibility. Now, speaking of Iran and Israel, it's being reported that apparently in a comprehensive address to the Senate Armed Services Committee, General Michael Eric Kurilla provided an in-depth analysis of the changing security dynamics in the Middle East. He is saying that strike plans are ready if Iranian nuclear talks collapse with Trump. They're ready. Now, the Jerusalem Post is reporting that Iran has threatened to strike U.S. bases across the Middle East if the nuclear talks fail. So either way, both sides are threatening the other, is what it sounds like, if these nuclear talks do not end on a positive note. In the meantime, let's talk about Israel. It's being reported that the United States no longer supports a Palestinian state in Israel's Judea and Samaria, the West Bank regions, according to the U.S. ambassador to Israel, Mike Huckabee, who suggested it could be formed elsewhere in the region. When asked if a Palestinian state remains a U.S. policy goal, Huckabee replied, "I don't think so." He further questioned the assumption that such a state must be located in the Israeli-controlled territory commonly known as the West Bank. He said, "Does it have to be Judea and Samaria?" invoking the biblical name favored by many Israelis and evangelical Christians. Instead, the ambassador floated the idea that the Palestinian entity could instead be established in a territory ceded by another Muslim-majority country. Now, as I've been reporting for the last couple of weeks, we have Saudi Arabia as well as France and other nations pushing for a two-state solution in a Palestinian state, and they want to do this on Israel territory. But Israel, of course, is against it, and it seems the ambassador is as well. This will eventually happen, according to Bible prophecy. We see in Joel chapter 3, verse 2, where God says, "I will also gather all nations and bring them down into the valley of Josaphat, and will plead with them for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land." So eventually this is going to happen, but they are really pushing for it now. And of course, we have what's happening between India and Pakistan. Politicals reporting, as well as other sources, that India has stated that they're ready to strike deep inside Pakistan if provoked. So to round all that up, we have President Trump's intelligence chief, Tulsi Gabbard, that released a dire warning about imminent nuclear annihilation in a video. The director of national intelligence posted a several-minute video on her personal X account on Tuesday morning with an ominous message about impending nuclear peril. The footage begins with Gabbard noting how she recently visited Hiroshima, the site of World War II. She said, "It's hard to find the words to express what I saw. The attack obliterated the city with over 300,000 people perishing instantly, while others from severe burns, injuries, radiation sickness, and cancer that set in the following months and years. Nagasaki suffered the same fate, homes, schools, and families, all gone in a flash." Her post reveals that she walked away from the experience with a haunting sadness that will stay with her forever. She said the destruction in Hiroshima was so tiny compared to today's nuclear arsenal. She then delivered a menacing verdict. She said, "We are closer to the brink of nuclear annihilation than ever before." President Trump has repeatedly stated in the past that he recognizes the immeasurable suffering and annihilation that can be caused by nuclear war, which is why he has been unequivocal that we all need to do everything possible to work towards peace. Now, we know that China remains intent on modernizing, diversifying, and expanding its nuclear posture. Russia has the largest and most diverse nuclear weapon stockpile that, along with its deployed ground, air, and sea-based delivery systems, can inflict catastrophic damage to the homeland. The intelligence report also reveals that the North Korean leader remains committed to increasing his number of nuclear warheads and improving its missile capabilities. Then, of course, we have Pakistan and India. Iran, who's working towards the same goal. So definitely a very precarious situation that the world is in right now. And we are literally tipping on the brink of such a catastrophe. Jesus told us in Matthew chapter 24, verses 6 through 8, "And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places. All these are the beginning of sorrows." We also see similar verses in the book of Luke and the book of Mark. So what we're seeing right now is actually prophetic. And during the tribulation, when the red horse starts its ride, that's when we're going to definitely see a lot of wars during that time, and possibly even nuclear ones. So now let's look at another prophecy. If we go to the book of Luke, chapter 21, verse 25, we see Jesus tell us that in the last days, we're going to see signs in the sun, the moon, and the stars. And I did a report specifically for those signs, and I'll leave a link for you guys to go and check that out below this video. But if we go on to the other part of the verse, "Upon the earth distress of nations with perplexity, the sea and the waves roaring." So we are watching distress of nations right now in real time in what is happening in LA. President Trump has already sent thousands of troops to LA. And LA last night set a curfew, so it was a little bit better than the previous nights. But now we're seeing these demonstrations spread to New York, Chicago, Dallas, Atlanta, and elsewhere. In fact, in Austin, over a dozen people were detained by authorities. In Dallas, there was a standoff that shut down a busy intersection. If you go to the No Kings website, you will see that they're organizing an event across the nation the same day that President Trump will hold his military parade, which is Flag Day, and also his birthday. It's a very well-funded and very well-organized demonstrations that will take place on Saturday. And according to their website, it will be on city blocks to small towns, from courthouse steps to community parks. It's going to be everywhere. So stay out of the cities, you guys, out of these big cities. But it's definitely distress of nations if they continue the behavior that they exhibited in LA. We've also seen these types of demonstrations, or that's the wrong word, but I'm on YouTube, you guys, so forgive me. But we've seen these types of demonstrations in France. We've seen it in Israel. We've seen it in Iran. We've seen it in Pakistan. So we are literally watching distress of nations. Another sign of distress of nations is the U.S. territory wants to ditch America and rejoin Spain. Who is it? Puerto Rico, an unincorporated territory of the United States, has put forward a number of proposals to break away from the U.S. and realign with Spain. Home to 3.2 million people, Puerto Rico came under U.S. rule in 1898 following the Spanish-American War, transitioning from Spanish governance established by Christopher Columbus in 1493. Despite the shift in power, Spanish has firmly remained the primary language of Puerto Rico, spoken by over 95% of inhabitants, and serving as the main language for daily interactions, education, and business. Part of Puerto Rican population is now showing interest in joining the European Union by reuniting with Spain. The founders of the movement claimed that approximately 13% of Puerto Ricans support this idea, viewing it as a pathway to a more prosperous future. Now, if we go to the other part of the verse, where it says the sea and the waves roaring, well, it's very interesting that these demonstrations are happening in the United States right now, which we're also entering hurricane season, all right? And we see the waves and the sea roaring during hurricane season. Now, it's being said, and we're just going to have to wait and see, and hopefully it doesn't come to this conclusion, but according to prophecy, we will see the sea and the waves roaring. But this is supposed to be one of the worst hurricane seasons ever. And we did have our first hurricane, which weakened into a tropical storm, and that was Barbara. So we are definitely watching some of these prophecies right before our very eyes. Now, all of these prophecies are going to go into full swing during the tribulation period, obviously. But we're seeing precursors right now. So let's talk about what's happening with AI and robots and the mark of the beast-like technology. Technocracy News and Trends is reporting that Amazon is reportedly developing software for humanoid robots that could perform the role of delivery workers could spring out of its vans. The $2 trillion technology company is building a humanoid park in the US to test the robots. Can you imagine, you guys, a robot coming to your door to deliver your packages? But it goes on to say that the information reported is that the robots could eventually take the jobs of delivery workers. It is developing the artificial intelligence software that would power the robots, but will use hardware developed by other countries. Amazon has more than 20,000 Rivians in the US and has placed one of the vans in the humanoid testing zone. Once it has tested the robots in the humanoid park, it plans to take them on field trips in the real world, where they will attempt to deliver packages to homes. China turns to robots for elderly care with a national pilot program. China has launched a pilot program aimed at accelerating the deployment of robots to alleviate the pressure of elderly care as the nation grapples with a rapidly aging population and a labor shortage. The Ministry of Industry and Information Technology, in collaboration with the Ministry of Civil Affairs, issued a notice on Monday inviting organizations to participate in pilot programs. The initiative aims to enhance the integration of robotics into smart elderly care. A key artificial intelligence pioneer is concerned by the technology's growing propensity to lie and deceive, and he's founding his own nonprofit to curb such behavior. In a blog post announcing Law Zero, the new nonprofit venture, or AI Godfather, Yoshua Bengio, said that he has grown deeply concerned as AI models become ever more powerful and deceptive. This organization has been created in response to evidence that today's frontier AI models have growing dangerous capabilities and behaviors, including deception, cheating, lying, hacking, self-preservation, and more generally. He said, I'm deeply concerned by the behaviors the unrestrained, angelic AI systems are already beginning to exhibit. He pointed to recent red teaming experts or tests that push AI models to their limits to see how they'll act, showing that advanced systems have developed an uncanny tendency to keep themselves alive by any means necessary. He said that these incidents are early warning signs of the kinds of unintended and potentially dangerous strategies AI may pursue if left unchecked. So what is the problem with these robots and AI? Well, in the book of Revelation, we see that the false prophet encourages people to worship a statue. And I've talked about this before. I am leaning to believe more and more that this is going to be some type of AI robotic statue that will lie and deceive and will even harm people. In the book of Revelation, chapter 13, verse 15, and he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause to be killed as many as would not worship the image of the beast. So this thing is going to move. It's going to talk. It's going to have a mind of its own. Yes, I do think it will be demonically possessed, but already we're seeing these AI models be deceitful. So could this statue be something of an AI and a robot? I say definitely yes. In addition to that, with AI, Vox is reporting that AI can now stalk you with just a single vacation photo. During the tribulation period, there is going to be unprecedented surveillance, censorship. And they can do this now, you guys. They can probably see me right now recording this video from a satellite in space somewhere. They can see you watching it. They're going to know where everybody is at all times because there's going to be these two leaders in control, most pointedly the Antichrist, that's going to want people to take the mark of the beast. It's literally at that time, as it is now, but more so during that time, a fight from evil versus good. And there will be some people that will survive the tribulation period, but they're going to be able to track you down, censor you, and try to force you to take this mark. And that is where AI comes in. And they can do this now even. But we're already watching AI exhibit these deceitful behaviors. Here's another report from the Wall Street Journal. News sites are getting crushed by Google's new AI tools. Because if you've noticed, if you go in there and you type in a search item or subject, AI immediately comes up. And it has links to the documents, but it gives you a relative good idea what that document is about. So it literally is taking over everything. So we are definitely seeing a lot of prophecy come to pass or just about to come to pass. So that's why it's so important right now because of these things that we are seeing. Jesus said that when you begin to see these things come to pass, then look up and lift up your heads, for your redemption draweth nigh. We're seeing these things come to pass. It is more important now than ever to, number one, be right with Christ. Number two, tell people about Jesus and his soon return. Nobody knows the day or hour, but he did tell us that we would see the signs. And we are witnessing that right now as a spectator in the world. There is no time to lose, you guys. We are running out of time as we see all of these prophecies right in front of our eyes every single day. And I actually have more headlines for you, which we will talk about tomorrow. But I just wanted to bring you guys a quick Bible prophecy update. Please do leave your comments below this video. Come and visit us on our social media pages as well as our website at www.cww7news.com. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Until next time, God bless and stay safe.